Karl and I are over here in Paris and London this week running workshops, Framemaking workshops for an incredible team of sales professionals. And, in running these workshops and sharing these ideas around the world, it's always super interesting to me to see as you put these new ideas, these really, new ideas in this very different language about B2B buying and B2B selling out in the marketplace and out into workshops. It's always interesting to me see sort of what language comes back to you, at you, sort of what are people retaining, what are they embracing, and more importantly, what specific words, language, ideas, concepts are they especially excited about? And I'll tell you, this week has been not only incredibly gratifying, but insanely humbling as you watch the excitement of sellers, many of in this, at least in this case, many of whom have been selling for better part of 2, sometimes even 3 decades. They've kind of seen it all, and they've been through every sort of different sales training you could possibly imagine. And for them to say this is completely new, or this is at least very different. It's just a really dramatically different way to think about sort of what our job is and how we can help. And if I had to sum it all up with one term that sort of came back at us, a word we put out into the room that by the end of the 2-day workshop was, just about on everyone's, at top of mind for everyone, that they were proactively throwing out into the conversation, it was this idea of being our customer's decision coach. And that was sort of something that got them really excited, was this vision of helping customers not just buy something, and even more specifically helping them buy something from us or buy our solution, but just much more broadly and much more in a sort of supplier-agnostic way. How can we help our customers not just through a purchase, but how can we help and coach and guide and Sherpa our customers through a decision? Because that's where customers are really struggling. And as you step through all the data and the research and all the different perspectives, and you really begin to understand they're struggling across a number of different dimensions, which we've talked about in the book and talk about elsewhere, whether it's decision complexity and just navigating that entire process beginning to end of the journey, not of buying, but of deciding. They're struggling with information overload. They're struggling with alignment with each other, not on how great you are, whether or not you're valuable, or they're struggling to align with each other and just what are we even trying to do in the first place? And is that a priority? And do we all agree that it's a priority? And how are we going to do that? How are we going to measure it? How long should it take? They're struggling with value realization. Not that they don't think you're going to be valuable, that you're going to deliver value, but they struggle with, their confidence in their own organization and their ability to derive the value that you've been able to confidently demonstrate elsewhere. And this whole sort of perspective of engaging customers in such a way that is specifically purposefully designed to change and improve not their supplier perception, but their self-perception, and to do that by becoming a decision coach was such a exciting way for them to think about it that, so many of them came out of that session just really excited and energized to go try these ideas. So some of the tools we introduced in the workshops, and also some of the language that we introduced in the workshop with their customers, because they saw it as exactly the way we see it, is this is a new and just a very different kind of way to be valuable to our customers. At the heart and soul of the framing sale is a very powerful question, which is particularly in a world where customers tell us they don't want to talk to sellers at all. The question becomes, how do I become the one seller, the one sales team that customers do want to talk to? And in many ways, the answer is not so much to how do I become the seller they want to talk to, but how do I become the person that they want to talk to? And that is about showing up in such a way that I can provide guidance and help through these very difficult things like figuring out which information matters. How do I make sense of all this information? How do I navigate the complexity of the decision-making process of my own organization? How do I just figure out how to get us all aligned? I got to talk to my boss's boss, and I don't know how to get her on board. I don't know what she cares about. And so we're providing tools to walk you through all of these different challenges step by step so that we can give you confidence that you're in a better position to help you give your customers confidence that they can go make all that happen inside their own organization. And that is, as we think about sort of how do we differentiate ourselves not only from other sellers, but how do we differentiate ourselves from all the other tools that customers now have available to them, particularly, of course, AI. That seems to me, and the data backs it up, and certainly the sellers' reactions in this room corroborated that if we want to find the one thing we want to hang our hat on for the coming years to really be the biggest opportunity to set ourselves apart, to help customers trust themselves such that they trust us as a byproduct of that, then it's to become our customers' decision coach.